If you guys read, it says the activation of the API key for free and startup accounts takes 10 minutes. All right, so for the next 10 minutes, what we're going to do is we're going to just start creating the app. Would you start our Xcode down in the bottom? That was the simulator. It's the one with the hammer over here. Okay. So now that I think about this one, I should probably just give you guys 10 minutes, or you guys don't need to watch him drag the table view on the text field, the search button, and create the stuff in the background. Does anybody feel like they need that just to make sure? Or does everybody feel like they're good? Be honest. Do you feel like you need it, or you're good? Anybody need a reminder of the table view stuff? Should we do the reminder? Okay, that's fine. So create a new Xcode project. All right, yep, single view. Call it weather. Team up there, go to the Xcode team. Yep, we're going to just use the Xcode personal team. Organization name, do John Hersey High School. Organizational identifier, org.jhhs. Uncheck both of those. Click next. Uncheck the create GitHub repository. Click on documents. And go to create. Perfect. All right, everything should be hunky-dory. Go to main storyboard. If you double click, remember that it opens up in a brand new window. Almost every time we want to do a single click. It's getting confused here. Go ahead and close that for me, would you? And just do a single click. Perfect. All right. First thing I always do is make sure that viewing and the simulator are the exact same. So either change this one to a plus or change that to the iPhone 7, your choice. I don't care which. Perfect. Click on there. Yep. Change it to the plus, one over. Click on the iPhone 7 Plus. It'll minimize it. Close the outline. We don't need the outline. All right, over here, change it to the object library first. Then here, type in text view or text field. Grab it, drag it up here, probably to where you get the two little marks. Whoop, back a little bit. There we go. That goes there. Drag it a little bit bigger. I'd go a little bit bigger. Perfect. Oh, nope, we need to put a button next to it, so you need a little bit of room. There you go. Now grab a button out of the thing. He's going to type butt. Grab a button, put that next to there. Change the button's name to search. Nice. It's a little too small. We'll have to drag the button a little bit bigger. Nice. Go down, do table. Grab that table view. Drag it, put it under the search field. I would just put it all the way, going to the left a little bit. There we go. I would do right there. Grab the bottom corner, bring it all the way down to the bottom. Whoop. All the way bottom corner. Perfect. And now since you've got that, I would also take this corner and drag it to the other corner. So that way it fills up the whole screen. Cool. So here's where it gets a little bit of you may not remember. First thing we've got to do is we've got to select the table view. Click on it. Go over here to the attributes inspector. The little shield looking thing. Kind of, you see, yep, there we go. Click on there. Do prototype cells, arrow up to 1. So now we have a prototype cell. click on the prototype cell over in the main storyboard. Down a little bit. Whoop. Okay. There we go. Now you're on the table view cell. We have to give it an identifier. Let's give it the identifier cell, C-E-L-L. Nice. Hit return to accept it. You've got to do that. Now, I usually, if I'm doing everything through the storyboard, I put it on this part. So control click in the middle of the table view, drag it up to the yellow dot. So got to hold down control and then click in the middle. Yep. Hold down control, click, and drag. There you go, up to the yellow dot. Let go. The data source, click on it. Do it one more time and do the delegate. Do you remember that you can programmatically do this when you create an iOS, do the IB outlet? You could create it so that it's programmatic. Close the utilities pane, the far right. Open the assistant editor. A little double circle. Perfect. Drag our text field over there to line 12. So control, click, and drag the text field up a little bit. Oh, let go. There you go. Start with the text field. Control, click, and drag to line 12. Go ahead. Perfect. Call it text field. To use very creative name. Oh, can't do it spaces. And camel case it. So lowercase t. Hit return. All right. Grab the search button. Drag it down to line 24. Perfect. Let go. Create an action instead of an outlet. Go up to the top. Create an action. Call it on search button pressed. Camel case it for me, so capital S. Pressed. Camel case. The button should be capitalized and the press should be pressed. Yep. And then ED at the end. Change the type of from any to UI button. Perfect. Now I'm going to pause there for a second. Any questions about any of that stuff? Yeah. You guys know why we're changing the type from any to a UI button? Somebody verbalize it. Why?
Because with the button, you have to also sometimes create additional coding for what you want it to do, or if you want to lead to like a different controller or to load a page or something like that.
Okay. Click correct or connect. So somebody tell me about this right now versus this being any. What do we call that? See why? I know we got a small class, but we got to make sure we're talking about that. It's the parameter type that's coming in. If it had been any, you have to have cast the sender object into a UI button to be able to access the instance of the button. Because every time you create an IB action, an instance of whatever triggers the action comes in. That way you don't need to have an IB outlet for the button if you wanted to change something about the button. You could just say sender dot, and it would change the background of the button when they're searching. You can do all kinds of cool stuff with that way. And that way, like as the JSON data is coming over, we could have the button be blue until it turns white back again in the black background, meaning that the JSON data has returned. We can do some cool stuff with that, and you guys can make some cool apps. Okay. Final thing, grab the table view. Just grab in the middle of the table view, drag it up to line 12 again, and create an outlet called table view. Let's call it table view. All right. So, two last things. Thing number one, quick connect. Yep. Lowercase t. Whenever we do, and a capital V on the view, whenever you do camel casing and you choose, the common coding practice is to camel case and to capitalize classes and structs, nothing else. So if you have a method, it's a lowercase beginning letter. If you've got a variable or a constant, lowercase beginning letter. That is the common coding practice. Okay, connect that one. All right, so while we're here, we might as well just do it in both. The last two things up here, put a comma. and then UI table view delegate, and then UI table view data source. So type UI table view delegate and UI table view data source. Remember, those are now importing all of the parts for the table view delegate and the table view data source. Table view, and you want the data source. Perfect. Okay, it's going to give us an error and say, hey, you have not implemented the methods yet. So go down to line 27, hit return twice for me, and do table view. Okay, stop for a second. Alicia, which is the first one that you have to implement? Right, but which one? I'm glad we did the little. Jimmy, what's one? Okay.
How is it? I remember last year when we were doing this, you were able to look up something that pulled up a web page that showed you which ones were required.
Great question. Okay. What we can do is you can go up here and control our option click. So option, hold down option, and then click. All right. So you can read all about the protocols. Anytime you want information for reference, it's the option click. Like you can option click on just about everything. So it comes down through, it talks a little bit about it, go to the protocol reference. Okay, and so now expand this out a little bit, make it bigger. You can read all of the information, keep scrolling down a little bit, scroll down. Okay, stop. So here, the cell for row at and the number of rows in section were the two that are required. Those are the ones that are required that you have to do. Everything else is optional to be able to look through the documentation. Great review to ask the question about how do I look at that. Okay. I'm going to make jumps unless you guys talk to me about that stuff. Okay. And I'm really glad that you asked. Like, let's walk through. Because how many of you guys would have remembered all of those steps? Raise your hand if you would have remembered every single one of them. You would have connected the delegate. You would have done all those different pieces. See, aren't we glad? Okay. So go ahead and close that. So back to Alicia. Can you type in the V at the end of the table? Alicia, what's the first one?
Like the number of rows.
Okay, number of rows in section. Come down and grab that one. Hit return. Okay, and come to the end of line 31 here. Hit return and type table. And anybody remember what was the other one? Cell for row at index path. So look for cell for row at. Keep going down a little bit. Oop. Cell for row at index path. Okay. Should we implement them while we're here? Okay. So let's just return one. Yep, line 30. Click on the code. Type return space 1. Click on 33. Do let cell equals. So, no, sorry, let space cell. Get rid of the let's. It's at no S. Perfect. Space equals table view dot DQ, DE, and then you're going to do a DQ reusable cell with identifier. Come grab that one, yep. All right, and the identifier is quote capital C-E-L-L that we used before. Yep, cap with a capital C. It's incredibly important that you have that exact same thing. Put an exclamation point at the end of that line after the parenthesis. Hit return. Now do cell dot text label. Yep. Dot text space equals, quote, hello. We'll just put hello in there for right now. Hit return and return cell. And now when you run it, all should be all hunky-dory. We should see a table view. We should see our text bar. We should see our search button. What's it saying? Oh, it wants a question mark after text label. So text label question mark dot. Not text after text label. That's the optional. Basically, it's a question mark. Basically, it's saying if the text label is there. So we'll talk a little bit more about optionals this year than last year. The idea is if it's there, then you can do this. If it's not there, then you can't. That's what the question mark is basically saying. It's like an if statement. Okay? Questions? Code it, and when we come back, the API keys will be live, because that was about 10 minutes.